Could the way you cope with stress be silently sabotaging your life? Hi there, it's Matthew Blades, and welcome to another Quick Hits of Learn from People Who Lived It. The idea behind this series is that if you could only spend 5 minutes with our podcast, what would I want you to know from the episode we just dropped last Monday? Here's the thing. Using porn as an escape might seem harmless, but it's often a sign of deeper emotional struggles. Recognize the warning signs and start reclaiming your true self in healthier ways to deal with stress. That is a lot of what we spent time talking about with Coach Frank.
People package it in the world of sexual behavior. In my experience, the men that struggle with it, the use and behavior of it has nothing to do with either sexual needs and or desires. It's become a tool of emotional regulation.
So in this particular podcast, I started off with a story that I don't always share publicly. I don't hide it. It's out there if you look hard enough for it, but it's not something that I talk about all the time. Here's the quick version of that story. When I was 6 years old, I discovered my dad's porn magazines, and I absolutely fell in love with those porn magazines. And I wasn't like a little 6-year-old at home masturbating. Like, I didn't know enough to know what that was all about, but I knew I loved the pictures and I liked to look at them. And over the years, that grew and that grew, and it just never really went away. There's no doubt in my life that moment, those sequence of moments, had a huge impact not only on my own sexuality, but in relationships with women. So here's the question, and Coach Frank does a great job of answering this question for us, but how do I know if I'm addicted to porn? How do I know if it's just, because it could be like this tool that you use in a relationship, in a marriage, to spice things up from time to time, or it could go the other direction. So here he is playing the role of Jeff Foxworthy's You Might Be a Redneck If, although this is the porn edition.
You are a porn addict if you use porn as a stress relief. You are a porn addict if you use it as a way to regulate your emotions. You are a porn addict if you're choosing the screen over connection with a real woman. You are a porn addict if every time you get done watching it, you say it's the last time and then you return back to it. You are a porn addict if when you look yourself in the mirror, the man that you see looking back, you are not proud of because of your use of porn.
It's such a powerful podcast. If porn has ever been something that has had control over your life, this episode is so incredible. And it's not just for people who are addicted to porn. It's for people who are in relationship with folks who are addicted to porn. And one of the things that came out of this podcast that I didn't see happening, but I'm so glad that it did, was our Dr. Frank, there's Coach Frank on this episode, and then there's Dr. Frank on this episode, made a really good point that if that addiction has impacted the other person in the relationship, they too will have to do a little bit of work around that issue.
Unfortunately, now there is the shared responsibility of how do I heal the parts of me that were hurt by this so that we can move forward and be good on the other side of it.
Yeah, I think, and Matt, real quick, I think just the woman has to be honest with herself, right? Because I've done enough of this, and we've had enough clients come into and run through completion of the program that the key word there is if you've been impacted and hurt, you have to heal. I can tell you, I've spoken to a lot of wives or worked with a lot of men that their wives are like, they don't even care. It's so much impacting me though that I need to be here. And the woman just kind of sits on the sideline, lets him do his work, and then their relationship just keeps moving forward. It didn't impact her 1 degree. Now, most women, that's not the case.
Again, I just love that this came up because, you see this all the time in relationship. I know I've seen it in my relationships, right? If something had a stronghold over me and then I made the decision to do the work on that thing and heal from it, well, the other person was still impacted by all of my choices and my decision. And so now they're probably going to need to do a little work on it. This is one incredible conversation for anybody who's had the relationship touched or destroyed by porn. I can't thank Dr. Frank enough for what he contributed to this podcast. Of course, Coach Frank was incredible and vulnerable and raw, and it's just such a cool thing to me when three grown-ass men can get together on a podcast to talk about their feelings and do so in a way that makes the people around them better. That is the very definition of the transitional character, right? That person who is sent here to end dysfunction for themselves, for the people around them, to make life better for everyone in their path. And I really do believe that Coach Frank is doing that. So if you missed last week's episode, it is out right now. I encourage you to jump on back and check it out. And thank you so much for being a part of this. If you know someone who needs to hear this episode, make sure you send it to them. And we'll see you next week on an all new Learn from People Who Lived It.